What's going on, everybody? Want to jump on here, talk about Steelers linebacker Patrick Queen. Had a really strong year in coverage this season, in my opinion. I've got about a dozen plays or so cut up from the Browns game just to kind of break down real quick before we get rolling. If you guys could, just make sure that you like, subscribe, drop me a comment. All that stuff is greatly appreciated on my end. Here we go. So this was one of Queen's better games of the season. I thought it was one of his best games in coverage. And really, I just wanted to break down some of these plays that you may not have been able to see from the broadcast angle, just to kind of give you guys a better understanding of like some of the ways that he's impacting the defense on the back end. Here's the Steelers' like most common call on 3rd and long. So this is 3rd and 15. You're going to be playing cover 3 buzz. Queen is up at the top of the screen. He is the weak cook player, so he is responsible for not just like helping out in the curl window up at the top, but he's also responsible for the number 3 receiver coming from the bottom of the screen. And he does a really nice job taking this throw away. And this would be like what I would probably classify as like a coverage sack more than anything else. But, Queen's landmark on this play is really to get to the hash and then melt accordingly just based off Winston's eyes. You can see Jameis is pretty much staring him down. He really wants to trigger on this in breaker to Jerry Jeudy, their number 1 wide receiver. Queen does a good job melting towards that receiver, and Jameis is forced to kind of pull the ball down, and we get a coverage sack. And one of the things that the Steelers pulled out against the Browns that was kind of unique, they played a lot of two-man. You don't see a lot of two-man in the NFL these days. But the reason why they were doing that is because Jameis is not really a mobile quarterback, not really a rushing threat. So that's where you'll kind of see some two-man in the NFL. But one of the things that they tasked Queen with was shutting down David Njoku. And I thought really like he really won this matchup pretty decidedly. This was probably the play where Njoku had the most separation, in my opinion. He's able to kind of cross his face a little bit, create a little bit of separation at the break point. Queen gets back in pretty good position. But what I liked about this was like the next series, he did a really nice job on a really difficult assignment. So here's another two-man example. The Browns are going to be running an old New England Patriots play that you guys have definitely seen 100 times before. It's just house wide juke. So you get a curl from the number 1 receiver, seams from the number 2, the slot receivers. And then really the intent of this play is they are trying to isolate Njoku on a juke route. So this is supposed to be a two-way go. He can, break inside, break outside. Look at all of this space in the middle of the field. It's really just a one-on-one opportunity. Queen does an excellent job here holding his leverage, establishing that contact key, and really shutting down this route to where like Jameis can't go anywhere with the football. And what I like about this too is like as soon as Jameis breaks the pocket, Queen does a really nice job plastering to the wide receiver, making sure he's in phase, gets contact with them, and allows really no separation. Here's a good viewpoint from the end zone angle. This is just a really nice job of like not allowing him to cross his face because he doesn't have inside help. So you got to make sure that you hold that leverage, and that's a really nice job forcing the throwaway there from Queen. And really just all throughout this game, I thought that Queen really deterred throws in his direction. Just some of the movement skills I think are really, really unique for a linebacker. I mean, when we studied him after the free agent signing, I was really optimistic about his coverage ability just from some of the ways that he moves. Here you'll get a little play action concept right here. Really what they're trying to do is like draw the second level defenders up, the linebackers, to kind of throw this quick kind of pop over to David Njoku. But you can see like Queen, very few false steps, has to take a couple steps towards the line of scrimmage to honor the run, but then watch how quickly he can flip his hips and get under that crosser. And to me, this is probably some type of like box check. It's difficult because they don't play this personnel grouping very often. They only have 1 corner in the game because it's 13 personnel. But I think he executes his assignment really well here, flipping his hips and kind of delivering this to KZ on the deep over. And again, this is another example of them taking away, Jameis's first read on the play. And Queen really did a little bit of everything. When you wanted to play man coverage against Njoku, he did it really well, whether it was cover 3 zone, whether it was him running the pole in Tampa 2. So right here's another example of them kind of trying to disguise some of their NTT, some of their Tampa 2 stuff. Queen is going to, basically he's looking for the new number 3 receiver and carrying that guy up the seam. They're going to get a switch release to the bottom of the screen. He's going to bail out, again, run with this guy stride for stride. And this is such good coverage. They're trying to work this like deep end breaker down here to Jeudy again. This is such good coverage, and he's in really good position to the point where like Jeudy almost like quits on the route. And Jameis is forced to go to the top of the screen, trying to get that high low. Can't get it. The Steelers are going to get off the field. And I think the straight line speed is obviously something that everybody knows about Queen, but like he's a really difficult person anytime you try to get these seams or work vertically against him. These matchups are like where NFL quarterbacks really like to work against most linebackers, but Queen is just not really an option. And there were even like times where he was put in some really difficult assignments just from personnel or from an alignment standpoint. This is a really difficult play in my opinion. The Steelers are going to be playing 2-man, but because of this kind of because of the splits of the number 2 and number 3 receivers up at the top of the screen, he's almost forced to play like outside leverage, which is really tough because you don't have an inside hole player. There's no one for him to really feed this route to, but he does a really nice job, closing the distance here. You can kind of see the closing speed, taking that throw away, and then again, we get another sack on third down, get off the field. So just those one-on-one matchups with him and Njoku were extremely lopsided. I thought he played fantastic in man coverage, and then basically everything that you wanted him to do in coverage, he did in this one. Here's another example of him, carrying the number 3 player up the seam. Really you're just trying to deter this throw and force him to, make a really difficult throw over your shoulder. You got those 2 deep safeties right there carrying them. That's on third and, extra long. He takes away, that kind of pole up the middle, and then we get a check down. We can come rally and tackle and get off the field. And this was the one play that I think everybody remembers from the broadcast. This was late in the fourth quarter, and Njoku wants a flag, but it's actually not a penalty, and you can kind of see that from the end zone angle here. But the Steelers are just playing quarters to the bottom of the screen. And he does a really nice job. Like, he's responsible for the number 3 receiver right here. Does a really nice job, again, trusting his athleticism, driving on that near hip, and then getting in position to where he can extend his arm, use his length at the catch point. And the reason why I said I don't think that this is actually a penalty is because if you look at this from the end zone angle, really the definition of like pass interference is like you've got to significantly hinder the receiver's ability to catch the football. And he does a really nice job, again, driving on that hip. But he doesn't use his hip to turn himself or to gain any type of advantage. He just, straight up undercuts the route. This is just an excellent display of athleticism in space right there. And, he's really jacked up about it. But this is a matchup that was extremely one-sided. I haven't really followed up and done a lot of stuff on Queen. I've mentioned him and we've done like full defensive breakdowns, but I haven't done an actual film room on him this season. And just with the way that he's played, especially in coverage, I think that's where he's really excelled the most. And if you guys remember when we did the film room stuff at the beginning of the season or after, they signed him, I talked about the fact that I thought that he did have good coverage chops. He just wasn't given a lot of the more difficult responsibilities in Baltimore because they had Roquan. In Pittsburgh, they're putting a lot on his plate, whether it's man, whether it's zone, reading 3-man route combinations, those types of things. And he's really excelled at that and had a really strong season. So it's pretty awesome to have a linebacker like that moves like he does, almost like a safety in space, while also, contributing to the defense in terms of like stopping the run and, flowing sideline to sideline. And we even got to see him as a blitzer a little bit in this one as well. So I appreciate you guys checking in with me as always. I appreciate the continued support on the channel. That's all I got for today. If you guys want more content from me, consider becoming a channel member for even more film rooms like this, exclusive perks, all that stuff. Link is in the description. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace and love.